I woke up at exactly 3:12 a.m. to the familiar vibration of my phone. I hadn't been dreaming. No slow fade from unconsciousness. Just a jolt into wakefulness, as if something had yanked me out of sleep by the collar. My room was dead quiet. No traffic outside. No wind. I blinked into the dark, the light of my phone screen casting an eerie glow from my nightstand. One notification. Unknown number. Don't look outside. That was it. I stared at it for maybe 10 seconds, my heart starting to thump for no good reason. Was it a prank? A wrong number? Some marketing scam that thought being creepy was clever? I swiped it away and turned the screen off. Then I noticed something odd. The shadows in my room weren't right. You live in a place long enough. You know the shapes of things at night. The dresser, the coat hanging on the door, the soft rectangle of moonlight on the wall. But tonight, the shadows weren't where they should be. There was a new one, near the window. Tall. Narrow. Still. I squinted at it. Maybe it was my hoodie bunched weirdly over the desk chair. Maybe. I reached over, grabbed my phone again, and opened the camera app. Flash on. I took a picture, blinked away the afterimage, and stared at what I'd captured. Nothing. The chair was empty. My hoodie was on the bed. I put the phone down slowly, sat up, and whispered to myself, it's just a trick of the dark. But my body didn't believe that. My arms were prickling with goosebumps. My spine was rigid. My breath was shallow. I turned on the lamp. Nothing there. No shadow. No figure. Just my desk, my chair, and the usual mess of books and notebooks. But the light gave me no comfort. It made everything too visible, every corner, every texture. Like whatever might be watching me now had a better look. I tried to laugh it off and grabbed my phone again. But something in me said, check the window. So I did. But I didn't look out. Instead, I crouched beside it, back to the wall, and slowly lifted the edge of the curtain. My eyes stayed on my reflection in the glass, not on what was outside. I could see just enough of the porch to know that the porch light was still on, and that the motion sensor had triggered it. I stared at the blurry edge of the glass, refusing to look directly into the night. And then, I saw a shape move. Not in the glass, in the reflection of my hallway behind me. Something had crossed past my bedroom door. I dropped the curtain. My heart was now a thunderdrum. I picked up the baseball, but I kept behind the bed, a leftover from when my ex used to travel for work, and I'd spook easily. I moved slowly to the door, opened it an inch, and peeked out. Hallway, empty. Kitchen light, still off. Bathroom door, open. I stepped out, barefoot on the cold laminate floor. Every creak sounded like a scream. I made it to the living room and turned on the main light. Nothing. Everything was where it should be. No signs of forced entry. No sign anyone had been here. I was halfway back to my room when I saw it. The back door was unlocked. Not open. Just unlocked. I always double-check it before bed. Always. I walked over, locked it again with shaking fingers, and turned to go back down the hall. That's when the lights flickered. Only for a second. But in that flicker, I saw something outside the window. A shape. A silhouette. Standing still on my lawn. Then it was gone. I backed into my room and shut the door. I didn't turn the light off. I crawled into bed, pulled the blanket over me like I was 5 years old, and stared at the door. Eventually, I must have fallen asleep. I woke again at 7:42 a.m. to daylight. The phone was still in my hand. There was a new message. Same number. You looked, didn't you? I didn't go to work that day. I couldn't. I sat at my kitchen table with a mug of untouched coffee, staring at the back door, remembering how it had been unlocked. I live alone. I don't have roommates, pets, or a forgetful partner. The door being unlocked was impossible unless someone else had been in the house. Or still was. I checked every room that morning. Every closet, crawl space, under the bed. Even the attic. Nothing. And yet I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My eyes kept flicking toward the window, expecting to see something staring back. But every time I looked, it was just my overgrown backyard and the rusted swing set the previous owners had left behind. I finally sat down with my phone and opened the number that had texted me. No name, no profile picture, just a string of digits that didn't seem to match any area code I recognized. I typed, "Who is this?" No reply. I stared at the screen for 20 minutes before finally putting it down. But not 5 minutes later, it buzzed again. Same number. You shouldn't have looked. My blood turned ice. I didn't reply. I didn't want to encourage whoever it was. But I did screenshot the conversation and sent it to my friend Gabe. He lived a few streets over, had been my buddy since high school, and was the only person I trusted with this kind of thing. I expected a joke. Something like, haha, you're going viral on Creep Talk. But instead, he called me. Don't laugh, I said the moment I picked up. I'm not, he said. I'm looking at the texts. This isn't funny. I know. Do you want me to come over? Honestly, yes. He was at my place in 10 minutes. 6'2", hoodie, sneakers, and a baseball cap like always. He had his old duffel bag slung over one shoulder, the one he used to bring to sleepovers when we were kids. He walked in, looked around, and said, nothing's broken. No sign of a break-in. Nothing. Gabe sat on the couch, pulled a flashlight from his bag, and said, we're staying up tonight. It got dark fast. By 9 p.m., we had all the lights off except for a lamp in the living room. Gabe sat by the back door, watching the yard through the blinds. I sat by the front window, peeking through the curtains. Nothing moved. We didn't talk much. Just sat. Waited. 10:31 p.m. 11:15 p.m. Midnight. Then, just after 3 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Same number. This time it just said, don't open it. I looked up, and I swear to God, I heard it. Knocking. 3 slow knocks on the front door. Knock. 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 Gabe froze where he was sitting. I stood up slowly, heart thudding so loud it drowned out everything else. The knocks came again. Knock. 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 Same rhythm. Same hesitation. I backed away from the door. Gabe turned off the lamp. Darkness filled the room like water. We waited. A full minute passed. No more knocking. I tiptoed over to the peephole. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I leaned in, and my breath caught. There was no one there. No one on the porch. No one in the yard. Just shadows and the faint glow of the streetlight. Then I noticed something wrong with the shadows. There was one more than there should have been. It stretched from a spot just to the left of the porch. Tall, human-shaped, but no one was casting it. I turned to Gabe. You see that? He was already standing, bat in hand, nodding slowly. We're not opening that door. Then came the voice. Muffled. Croaking. From the other side. It said one word. Please. I clamped a hand over my mouth. The voice didn't sound human. It was almost wrong in pitch. Like someone had learned English by mimicking tapes and never quite mastered it. Gabe whispered, go to the kitchen. I'll watch the door. We backed away slowly. The voice didn't call out again. But the knocking started again. Softer this time. Like it was trying to be gentle. We ended up in the kitchen with all the lights off, crouched behind the island like kids hiding during hide-and-seek. I pulled my phone out and opened the message again. Don't open it. Who the hell is sending these? Gabe whispered. I don't know. Another buzz. New message. It's not alone. What? Buzz. Get out. Buzz. Now. And then the back door creaked open. Even though we had locked it earlier. The sound of the back door creaking open froze us both. Gabe and I stared at each other, crouched low behind the kitchen island, hardly breathing. We had locked that door. I watched him turn the deadbolt himself. There was no reason it should have opened. But now it had. I could hear the hinges flex, groaning slow and deliberate, like something was being invited in. We didn't move. Gabe had his flashlight ready in one hand, bat in the other. I clutched my phone like it was a lifeline. The screen lit up again. Same number. Don't make a sound. I didn't need to be told twice. Something stepped into the kitchen. We couldn't see it, but we could hear the faintest drag of a foot on tile. The soft creak of a floorboard shifting under weight. Whatever it was, it moved slowly. Not like an animal. Like it knew we were there and wanted us to feel it getting closer. Gabe gave me a look. 1 second of eye contact. I knew what it meant. Move on my signal. He nodded once. Then again. Then, he flipped on the flashlight and stood up in one fluid motion, swinging the beam toward the door. There was nothing there. Just an open door and the yard beyond it. Still. Empty. But the flashlight flickered. Then the lights in the kitchen burst back on with a harsh white glare. And in that sudden light, we saw it. Just for a second. A shape. In the corner of the room. It was flat. Like it had no depth. Just a tall, paper-thin silhouette of a human, pressed against the cabinets. Its limbs were too long. Its head tilted the wrong way. Then the lights went out again. We both shouted. Gabe rushed forward with the bat, swinging wildly at where it had been. He hit nothing. The flashlight sputtered and died. The house went dead quiet again. The only sound was the faint click of the back door, closing on its own. We ran. Didn't think, didn't plan. Just ran out the front door barefoot, bolting into the cold night air like kids escaping a haunted house at an amusement park. We didn't stop until we were in Gabe's car, doors locked, breath steaming the windows. "I saw it," he said. "You saw it too." I nodded. "What the hell was it?" "I don't know." "Buzz." "My phone. New message. You can't leave." I looked up at Gabe. "Drive." He didn't need convincing. He started the car, tires squealing as we tore down the street. We drove for over an hour. Took back roads. Avoided main streets. Ended up parked in an empty lot behind a 24-hour diner that looked like it hadn't had a customer since 1998. We sat in silence. I stared at my phone. No new messages. Gabe said, "Maybe it's over." I wanted to believe him. Until I looked at the time. 3:12 a.m. And the phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a message. It was a video call. From the same number. I showed Gabe the screen. "Don't answer it," he said. But I already had. My thumb moved before I could stop it. The screen lit up and showed a live feed. Of my living room. Empty. Still. Lit by a single flickering lamp. And then, something crawled into frame. Backwards. It was like watching a puppet on invisible strings. The limbs moved wrong, too fast in some places, too slow in others. Its head turned around, full 180, and stared straight at the camera. Then it smiled. Wide. Unnatural. It started to stand slowly and walk toward the camera. "Hang up," Gabe said. I couldn't move. The figure stepped closer. Closer. The video flickered. And then the feed changed. To a live view of the backseat of Gabe's car. Empty. Then something moved. Someone was sitting there. Just a shadow. Right behind us. I screamed and turned around, swinging wildly with the phone still in my hand. Nothing. Gabe turned, too. The seat was empty. But the video feed still showed the figure. Still sitting there. Still smiling. And then, without touching a button, the call ended. Just a black screen. And one new text. "Look behind you." We bolted out of the car. Again. Ran into the diner. Didn't care if it was open. The night cook looked up at us like we were lunatics. Maybe we were. But the second we stepped inside, the lights flickered again. And behind us, in the glass of the diner's door, we saw the reflection of someone standing right behind us. The reflection behind us vanished the moment we turned around. Gabe lunged backward, knocking over a chair. The diner cook, a thin guy with headphones around his neck, raised his eyebrows but didn't say anything. Maybe he thought we were tweaking. Maybe he didn't care. But I saw it. For just a second, the shape. Tall. Watching us through the door. And then it was gone. We took the booth farthest from any windows. Gabe sat with his back to the wall. I kept glancing over my shoulder like a paranoid rabbit. The cook turned back to his grill, muttering something under his breath. The overhead lights flickered once, but stayed on. We didn't speak for a few minutes. Then Gabe finally whispered, "I think we triggered something." "What do you mean?" "Like rules. Or steps. First the message. Then the knock. Then the door. It's escalating." I hated that he was right. It wasn't random. The text came before every major event. They weren't warnings, they were stages. Instructions. Markers of progress. I pulled out my phone. Still no new message. I typed a reply anyway. "What do you want from me?" No response. "Maybe we leave town," Gabe suggested. "Put distance between us and it." I nodded, but something felt off. Then I looked out the window. The street outside, it had gone completely dark. Like someone had shut off the town. Not a single streetlight. Not a single sign of a passing car. And then, the lights inside the diner flickered again. This time they didn't come back. We were bathed in sudden darkness. The cook cursed loudly, fumbling for a flashlight. That's when we heard it. Knocking. But not from the front door. From the window. The one beside our booth. Knock. 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 Slow. Deliberate. We didn't move. My phone buzzed. New message. "It followed you." Then another buzz. "Don't run." Too late. Gabe yanked me from the booth and we bolted past the kitchen, pushing through the swinging door and out the back exit. We spilled into an alley filled with dumpsters and sour-smelling grease bins. Behind us, the back door slammed shut. I turned to look and saw it. A face in the kitchen window. Gray skin. Sunken eyes. And a mouth stretched into a grin far too wide. It raised one hand and waved. Then the lights inside came back on and it was gone. We drove again. Didn't talk. Didn't think. Just drove. Eventually, the sun began to rise. Pale gray light washing over rooftops and trees like nothing had happened, like the world was still normal. We ended up back at my house. I didn't want to go inside, but Gabe said, "We can't keep running. If it's tied to you, it's going to keep finding you. We need to finish this." How? We follow the rules. He was right. Whatever this was, it wasn't just a haunting. It was a ritual, with structure, with intent. We stepped inside slowly. Everything looked the same. No signs of entry. No movement. Then I saw the front door. There was something new taped to it. A sheet of printer paper, with 4 words written in black marker. "Last chance to listen." Beneath it, in red ink. "Look outside again, and we won't knock." What does that mean? I whispered. "It means we're close to the end," Gabe said. I felt something shift then, in the air, like the house itself was listening. The clock on the microwave read 2:59 a.m. 3 minutes until the texts. 3 minutes until whatever came next. Gabe set up his flashlight and bet again. I kept my eyes away from the windows. We sat in the living room. The seconds ticked by. 3:12 a.m. My phone buzzed. Opened the door. That was new. I looked at Gabe. He shook his head. "No way. It's bait." "Buzz. Do it. Buzz. He wants to see you. Buzz. He's waiting." Gabe stood up. "Ignore it." But I was already walking toward the door. I didn't want to, but my legs moved like they weren't mine. I stood before the door. I reached for the knob. Buzz. New message. "He's inside. He's inside." The text glowed on my screen, pulsing like a warning light. I stood frozen in front of the door, my hand inches from the knob. Behind me, Gabe shouted, "Don't open it." But it wasn't Gabe's voice that reached me. It was another. Low. Gentle. From right behind my ear. "We just want to talk." I spun around. No one was there. But I felt it. Breath on my neck. Gabe grabbed me and pulled me back. "Get away from the door." He slammed it shut, though I hadn't even opened it, and deadbolted it twice. We stood in silence. Then from the hallway came the sound of something dragging. Slow. Deliberate. Scraping across the floor like wet cloth and bones. We moved toward it. Gabe held the bat tight. I had the flashlight, but my hand shook too much to hold it steady. As we reached the hallway, the lights flickered again, and we saw something just vanish around the corner. A long arm. Thin. Unnaturally jointed. We chased it. Or maybe it led us. Into the bedroom. Everything looked the same. Except the mirror. It had fogged up. Like someone had just breathed on it. And then slowly, letters began to appear, drawn by an invisible fingertip. "You brought him." "What does that mean?" Gabe whispered. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. "Same number. He's not who you think." I turned to Gabe. "What did you do?" "What?" "Nothing." "Buzz. He let us in." "No," Gabe said, backing up. No. But I saw it then. The look in his eyes. The flicker of movement behind them. He wasn't blinking. He wasn't breathing fast like me. He was too calm. I whispered, "You've seen them before." He didn't deny it. Instead, he said, "They promised me it would stop if I brought someone else." I didn't know it would be you. I stepped away. My whole body was trembling now, not from fear, but rage. "You let them into my house?" I thought it was just dreams at first. The texts. I ignored them, but they kept coming. They said it would stop. I swear I didn't know they'd follow you. "Who are they?" But Gabe didn't answer. Because something else spoke. From the mirror. The reflection changed. It no longer showed the two of us in the room. It showed just me standing alone. Gabe's reflection was gone. And in his place, a tall figure. Pale. Grinning. Its hand rested on my shoulder in the reflection. But in reality, nothing touched me. Then I felt it. Fingers. Cold and dry. Pressing gently on my real shoulder. I turned. And there he was. The man. Tall. Dressed like a normal guy, hoodie, jeans, but his face was wrong. Too smooth. Like it had been drawn instead of grown. His eyes were black. Not dark. Black. Like ink pools. His mouth moved, but the words came from my phone. "We gave you chances." He leaned forward. "You looked." I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. He tilted his head. "Now you see." Then everything went black. I woke up in daylight. My phone was on the floor. No messages. No missed calls. Gabe was gone. So was the bat. The flashlight. The taped warning on the door. I checked every room. Every closet. Nothing. Except the mirror in the bedroom. It still had fog on it. One last message. "We are in." That was 3 nights ago. I haven't gotten any new texts. But I don't sleep much anymore. Because now sometimes I see reflections where there shouldn't be any. Windows, screens, even puddles. They show me things that aren't in the room. And last night, as I passed a store window, I saw Gabe. He was standing across the street, watching me. But when I turned, he wasn't there. Just the reflection, still grinning.